Hello, everyone. Welcome to InfoComm 2024. This is Brompton Technology, and we are very, very happy to have here Miguel Churruca from Brainstorm. We have been working very closely with Brainstorm to ensure that users have the best experience. So it's great to have you. Miguel, can you please tell me a little bit more about you and about what Brainstorm is doing?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us here. Oh, let me know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having us here. It's been a pleasure always working with you guys, but also being able to share some thoughts and some technology talks
Absolutely.
with you, which is great. So, Brainstorm, let me just come to a video here so we can say things while I'm talking. Brainstorm is a 30-year-old company that's been working in the virtual production arena since the very beginning. So we started doing 3D graphics in real time, started with SGI Onyx and that kind of things. And now we're very much into any kind of virtual production, AR, XR, whatever are you want to think of. That's where we're looking at. We're a software company, and we've been utilized by most of the biggest broadcasters, film companies, and now different tier broadcasters and content creators as well. So it's great to be here to share these things with you.
Thank you very much. I can see that there is a lot of green screen, and you guys have been moving towards LED as well, obviously with virtual production coming into play, etc. Right?
Yeah, obviously, this reel shows like a glimpse of what we've been doing in this last 10, 15 years, not from the very beginning.
Of course.
So there is green screen here, and there is a lot of LED technology here. But I think the talk is about which one should we choose, or which one should we think of when going into a certain production.
Absolutely.
So which one is better for a given production of given content that we want to produce?
Yeah, absolutely.
So thing is, there is room for both, but we need to make sure that we utilize the correct technology to improve our flexibility, to have the best solution for our problems, being the problem to produce certain content in a virtual manner, or being able to reduce the cost accordingly. So first of all, let's start with the very, very basic concepts. So what is virtual production?
Well, not that easy. Not that easy of a question, right?
It's not an easy question, actually. Somebody will think that, okay, virtual production is doing things virtually. Well, define virtually. The thing is, we're talking about virtual production. We think of mixing real environments, which is yourself, myself here, and a virtual environment, which is something that happens in a different media. So it will be a LED wall to be mixed on a green screen. And why we use virtual technology? Because let's take this shot we have here. This is a 5-minute window in a given day. And this will not be repeated never. So if I'm a director and I have my perfect shot, I need to nail it. And virtual production allows me to have time to do that. That means that I will be able to get my shot as I wish, for instance.
Yeah, I mean, this is a perfect example because obviously this sun position and the clouds, they are never happening again.
Yeah, but not just that. I mean, this may be a picture, or this may be a virtually generated render. So I can put my clouds, my shades, my light, refractions, anything as I wish to create my dream shot. And not only that, I can mix things. I can shoot things inside of places that I'm not allowed to get in. Imagine a cathedral, imagine a place that is forbidden, things like that. Virtual production allows us to do that, or save time. But because if we go to the typical way of doing things, you see, typical shooting is, okay, we shoot, we do the rolls, we do the dailies, and then we get everything into post-production. I mean, we edit, we grade, we do all the stuff, we track the things, we do the chroma key and blah, 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 all the kind of things. And then we add VFX on top. But what if we are able to move some of these things to the production side? For instance, if we can create chroma keys in real time or LED compositions in real time, adding 3D backgrounds, and get all the tracking and focus matching correctly done in production stage, what happens is that I have all my dailies prepared for post-production easily, and I don't have to spend time retracking, rotoscoping, that kind of stuff that takes a lot of time, and time is money.
Yes, absolutely.
So this is the basic concept we're talking about. And thing is, at the end of the day, we're saving time and we're saving money because we optimize the time of the actors, the crews, all the people that gets involved. We can shoot more in studio rather than bringing dozens of people around the world and kind of things. We take we save in props and travel, of course. We save in chronological shooting. We can have the shooting as it's scripted, not as it should happen today. And also, this is not incompatible with the analog way of doing things. On the know-how is still there, we still can be used perfectly. So it's not incompatible with that, which is great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And there is one of the points that obviously there is many benefits, traveling, etc. But as well optimizing the time of the actors, because for actors they have to stay in a role, and many times they have just to wait in their caravan or whatever for many hours, and then try to get back into the same position and the same mindset they were 5 hours ago or
It's
yesterday,
difficult.
right?
Yeah, it's-
So it optimizes all these workflows quite a lot.
Absolutely, absolutely. And bringing crews all over the place. I mean, I can shoot in Iceland one day and then I had to move everybody else to Mongolia forever.
Yeah, absolutely. Talking about benefits, I mean, there is other things as well, like car shoot with a kid driving,
For instance,
right?
I mean, car shooting is a perfect example. I mean, we don't have to close streets. We don't have to ask for costly permissions. That kind of stuff can be done with virtual production.
And it can be simplified as well because it doesn't have to be a complete 3D render of the environment. It can be just plates that is very common as a workflow.
Exactly, or projections and things like that. But if you think about that, this technology has been forever in movies. Thing is that back in the days, 100 years ago, maybe a bit less, 50, 60 years ago, it was a projection and a screen, and then it was taking a picture with a projection. So we have the car shooting, we have I mean, all the action scenes that take place when, let's say, a train moving, things like that. That was already used. Now we have better means to do that.
And that's all about. It's about achieving better quality to
Absolutely.
create this amazing experience.
That's correct. The good thing is that if we want to define, now that we've settled the things, what is virtual production? It's having hyper-realistic virtual content because it cannot be distinguished from reality. Otherwise,
Yeah.
wouldn't make any sense.
Yeah, it takes the viewer out of the experience.
Yeah, so this is not real. So what? But we need to have some tracking on the camera. We need to have real content, of course, and we also need to have things done in real time. Because if it's not real time, it's virtual effects.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So we started doing things like this. So this is film pre-visualization. As you see, it's a chroma screen because back in the 2004, 5 was this. There were no LED screens that.
There was no Brompton, so
no Brompton, no LED screen. That's fine. So, but this is the kind of concept that was used for virtual production before. We had a lower resolution of the shots and ensure that the shots were matching the renders. So it was saving time in post-production. This little pre-visualization saved a lot of time. But now we can do hyper-realistic scenery in real time, as we can see here, and adjust shadows, as you will see, adjust all the scene in real time, adjust lighting, and do everything on the fly, which makes a huge difference, as you can see there.
That's right.
The good thing is, as I mentioned, it can be done in green screen, blue screen, LED walls. It's our interest to decide which one is better for a given shot. So let's talk about workflows, how things are done. So how we do chroma keying. Still, as you can see here, this is a real workflow for a customer. So they shoot 1 or 2 cameras. They have an external chroma keyer that uses Ultimate in this case, but they send the tracking to our workstation. They also send the video and key to a workstation, and also that allows the Infinity Set workstation to render the background according to the tracking position. So that means that if they're happy with the result, they can output directly to air, which they do many times. But if they want to save this material for later refinement, for grading, further editing, anything, they can share the different layers of material. So the background, the foreground, the chroma key, the tracking data, and so et cetera, et cetera. They can save everything together and adjust that later on for VFX,
Absolutely.
which is like a dream come true for them. They can do anything. So what happens if we do it with LEDs? LEDs work differently because as we've seen before, as you can see here, we capture the person and we insert that person keyed out in a virtual environment.
Yeah, I want to clarify because all this is real time because this is
Yes.
live. We are looking at something that is more of a live workflow
Yes.
in order to
Yes.
to broadcast, right?
The first half is real time. You have a master ready to air if you want it that way. But if you want to refine it further, you can do VFX and spend your time in post production if you wish. But yeah, that's if you're talking with Brainstorm, you're talking with real time.
Yeah.
So what happens with LEDs? It's a different. I mean, first of all, let me tell you that having just a video on an LED screen, it doesn't mean it's XR or virtual production,
Absolutely.
because a flat video has no depth, has no parallax, has nothing to do with whatever we see with our eyes. So as you can see in this video, yes, there's a huge LED screen back there, and there's a lot of things happening, but it's not such thing as a real thing, you know? In this case, it's a bit different because we have an AR on top, but you see that background plate is flat. So we need to add depth. We need to add the parallax. We need to have the same perspective that the camera has when it moves to create the realistic scenery. Things like this. So this is an LED screen, and this guy is walking, and you see how you have perspective. And you have the parallax in there, and the things move on top of the other, etc., etc. But this is what we want to achieve: the perception of depth
Yeah.
within the LED wall. So, how to create? How do we create this sensation? So, as you can see, we still have an LED wall, we still have a camera, we still have a render, but things work differently. To create the LED wall with virtual production or XR, we first need to know where the camera is looking at.
Absolutely.
So we need to have a tracking data from the camera so we can render the LED scene and then send it to you guys at Brompton and
Have the right perspective.
display the LED screen render with the correct perspective from the camera.
Mhm.
So when the camera moves, it renders and goes and changes the images.
Yes, absolutely. It's very much about the relationship between the LED position and the camera position, and what is the perspective of the virtual environment, given this.
Everything is related to
Information.
what the camera sees.
Absolutely.
So what the camera sees with the lens field of view, with the depth of field, all the distortion in the lens, if we say it that way as well,
Mhm.
everything has to be input in the workstation. So Infinity Set can render the whole thing according to the camera view and render that to the LED screen. So the camera will see what it's supposed to see.
Yep.
Once the
Absolutely.
person, as you can see there, is in there. But then the camera sends the video not to the Infinity Set, but to the output station, maybe a mixer or directed to air or to a recording station, whatever. So it's like jumping, it's sending data for the render. The render happens on the background, and then the composition, as it's seen with the camera, goes somewhere else.
Yep.
So it look the same thing, but it's quite different because we need to render the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Microseconds in the future, but microseconds anyway. So this is an animation of how it works. So we have a track camera that will see something in the image and will send the tracking information to Infinity Set that will send the rendering of the LED screen to the Brompton processor that will then display things on the LED screen. And that is a small, tiny, but important difference.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And this is one of the beauties of this technology, right? There is
Yeah.
so many different parts to it that
That's
have
it.
to be communicating and perfectly aligned. And that's why it's so important for us to actually be communicating and ensuring that these workflows are a little bit easier.
Absolutely, absolutely. So many little things that need to be matched together. So
Mhm.
we'll see that later on. So this is the result of having this kind of technology. The camera is moving, and the camera is sending the data. In the background, you see that we see the parallax and we see the depth of the scene. And we can also input AR stuff on top or behind the actor. that
Absolutely.
moves accordingly with the camera perspective, which is great. So this looks real. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So what if we need to put AR on top? We need to have the same workflow, but in this case, we need to send to the mixer, for instance, both the camera view and also the AR that is rendered on top of that view that needs to be matched with the camera perspective. So everything, as you said, needs to be matched together. So it's not more
Yeah, it's
pieces that need to
a
add
new layer
a new
to
layer
the,
of complexity, let's say
that
it
is a
that way.
complete new workflow because AI has been a workflow already for many, many years.
Yeah.
That is just creating a new layer to what virtual
Exactly
production has
so.
been.
Exactly.
So,
So that's correct. And as you can see here, I mean, we're moving the camera, so we have
and it does
an
look
object on
very
top.
realistic.
Yeah, and goes over the person that's behind it, etc., etc.
Yeah, he doesn't look scared though.
Maybe he was looking to the phone.
Yeah.
So, but LEDs are finite, are limited in space. We can't have huge LEDs in every single installation. So, what if we need to look outside of the LED, of the LED screen?
Yeah.
We need to render the outside world as well. So that makes another level of complication. So we have the background scene rendered on the LED, we have the AR on top, and now we have to render something outside of the LED
Yeah,
screen.
this has been a very common workflow as well for broadcast mainly because the studios are not that big really, and then but you want to pretend that this is an infinite world
That's it.
that is
That's it.
360 degrees and doesn't go out of there, right?
You want to have camera movements, not just constrained to something that is
Absolutely.
very small. You want to have wild perspectives, wild movements, and then you need to render something outside. So, for instance, if we have this LED and we want to put the camera looking that way, we will need
Yeah.
to add some
The-
set extension, which is another layer of complexity. So we need to take the camera tracking, use it for the rendering of the LED wall, then the AR, then all the signal, the composite signal is sent to the mixer. But also we need to render the outside on the same perspective of the camera. So it's using the same tracking information. We have to match that in time code, etc., and send that over and mix them all together and send it out.
So basically, it's an AR layer that actually is part of the virtual world
Yes.
and extending what the real world is. So you
Absolutely.
look at the virtual world, real and virtual being mixed through an LED
Yeah.
in a screen.
Again, one more thing.
Yes, absolutely.
So we can keep adding more complexity in putting AR on top, etc., or have dynamic lightings that we can add on top, etc. So we can keep going and going and going, but everything starts with some camera that's looking at something and sending the information that we can process accordingly. So this is a typical LED wall that is limited in space. As you can see, there's some cables on the right side, there's a green screen on the left side, but oops, there is. That's a set extension.
That's a much better view.
Problem
No?
is, we have two different media. The LED wall has some colorimetry, but the outside wall is something else. It's an AR. So we need to match
Yeah, I
both
mean,
things together.
the set extension will have the perfect digital color that you are expecting, while LED walls definitely have some limitations and calibration specifications that need to change. That is very much
Exactly.
what we focus on. It's
Exactly.
in making sure that they look as close as possible, but still, ambient lighting is going to affect that even, right?
Exactly so. So we need to alter the outside render to match the conditions of the LED screen. And that means to have something like this. And you see the right half is a set extension and the left half is the real world. And you don't see the difference, which
That's
is the
awesome.
beauty of being able to have a processor that can understand color correctly and being able to alter the outside world accordingly. So this is a little animation how it works. So we start with something that is the LED wall. That's a limited element. And we do a mask of that because we need to put something on top of that to cover the rest of the world. And we need to use lookup tables, complex 3D lookup tables to ensure the color matching and understand what the color of the LED is, then match it with the color of the render, and then blend it together.
That looks awesome. That looks great.
It is awesome, and
And
it's
there's a little bit of a feather as well, just to make sure that
yes,
they merge properly, right?
yes, because you will never have a pixel exactly.
Yeah, I mean, calibration
Yes,
systems, they still have a little bit of tolerance, and the
yeah,
color is still going to have a little bit of tolerance.
yeah,
So,
and you know the human eye is
absolutely.
very awesome when the blending is done. So
Yeah.
it saves lives, everybody's lives actually, and that's the result. I mean, it's a 3x3 LED screen, and you won't see where it ends.
Yes, that is awesome.
There's another thing we have to take care of when using LED walls is the extra render. The camera moves, but remember I said we were rendering the future because the tracking happens in the past and then the camera looks at the future.
Hmm.
Some frames, some milliseconds, but it's still the future. So if you have a quick movement, you may have a discrepancy in the render. So you have to render something that is bigger than the frustum of the camera so you don't see a
Absolutely.
black part on that. Something that is very easy to see in this case. So as we move the camera, if you see the frustum is inside the extra render. So we're rendering something bigger than the frustum.
At the end, we're talking about technology, and there is always a little bit of delay, and we need to take accountancy and
There's
the right tools to
a
fix
lot of delays because there are a lot of things happening at the same time. It is not a question of how much delay you have, but how good you match all the delays together.
Mhm.
And there's another thing that you're using here, and I sincerely love it. It is the frame remapping technology, being able to display so many things. Because another problem with the LED walls would be the multi-camera thing. Because if I render something that needs to be in the LED wall before the camera sees it, if I cut, there will be a discrepancy between one camera and the other. So I need to render this camera view before this camera is plugged.
Mhm.
And this technology helps a lot because it prevents all these issues.
Absolutely. And there is something that I want to mention now when we get into when to choose one or the other. But it is giving a lot of possibilities to the technology to, to fix the issues that some people might have about using LED or using green screen and having to choose between them.
Exactly, exactly. And this is helping a lot because one of the main issues was, okay, I don't have the possibility of working with many cameras, but now you can.
Absolutely.
It's a question of adjusting together and make sure that each camera is looking at the correct frame, etc., etc. But it's perfectly.
And it is really important to allow creators to have flexibility in the way they want to work.
At the end of the world, it's all about content creators, about creativity. You cannot limit creativity. Our job as a technology company, and your job, of course, is to allow creators to push the limits
Absolutely.
and go farther away than what everybody else has
That's
done.
all we want to do, right?
Exactly so. And that's the example of this. If you see in the bottom left, that's the studio. You will see there are a number of images blend together because they are happening at the same time. As, you can see here in the demonstration, and you have in this wall. So we have one camera view, another camera view, and the blending image at the same time. So it's very, very visual how we can create this thing together. And the good thing is that although it seems complex, it works perfectly.
Yeah,
It works very nicely.
absolutely.
And thing is, we were talking about LEDs and chroma. This allows us to have chroma on LEDs.
Exactly. And this is the thing. I mean, for us, this became so important because while virtual production have so many benefits by being used with LED, people can see, they feel more involved with the environment. The directors, the DOP, everybody can see exactly what is happening.
Exactly.
In post production, usually you don't really have accessibility for all these people all the time. While you are there, you are in the shot, everybody's completely motivated. You have the actor, and you know exactly how they are doing things.
Correct.
But then the VFX team, they will feel like they have a limitation in there because they don't have as much flexibility in the post production. But now, if we can do one frame that is the actual shot that we are doing, and the second frame that is the green screen, and this is something that we are going to do and show to the audience, that gives you the best of both worlds, right?
Exactly so. Exactly so. And of course, we all know how chroma key works. It's been there forever, for ages, 2,000 years.
Yeah.
No, but thing is, we'll need to tweak things and adjust things to make chroma work in LED walls. But there is some work, some work that's already been done. So it's easier to get that instead of having a totally new technology. And the good thing is that if we have more images happening at the same time. We can have maybe a teleprompter there that only the talent can see. We may have the green screen for one camera. We have a different shot for the other camera. So it opens a world of possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, for broadcasters, for example, not everything is about cinema. This technology is being used in many, many different industries. And for broadcasters, that is very much where you guys are market leaders as well. Uh, there is, we have this demonstration that is a weather map, and we can see the states. Why? Because you might want to be completely sure of what you are looking at. So in a live broadcast, you don't look bad about confusing
Yes.
where two states. I'm Spanish. I don't really know which state is which, so I do need this type of cues. I don't want to be trying to remember
Yes.
while I am focused. Yes, exactly. While I am fully focused in the script, right?
Right. That's perfect. It's just adding helps and flexibility to the production, which is what it's all about. So, and this is what it looks like. Hey, let's say here's a teleprompter there, but nobody but the presenter is looking at it. And we have two different images because we have two different cameras plus a teleprompter and maybe a green screen or maybe whatever else happening at the same time, which is great. So, how we choose, how we decide which technology should we use? Oh, there's a lot of things that need to take into account. How we compose the scene. We want chroma, we'll have spill. We need to light the scene correctly. We have to make sure that everything runs perfectly, but we know how to do it. But if we want it live, if we want something that is output to air directly, and we want the people around to look at it, we better have something in here rather than a green screen.
Absolutely. And for example, right now, we are showcasing here the true light panels, these extra emitters panels that as well give you this dynamic lighting. So if the environment changes, it will change with the environment. That is a step forward into making life, everybody's life, a little bit easier and more realistic experience.
Absolutely. So this is typical chroma keying and works perfectly, as you can see. It's our virtual background. We have the map, we have the foreground, and that's the result. It's perfect.
Yeah.
But we need to take care of some issues when we work on chroma key. We all know about them, but we still need to take care of them.
Absolutely. And technology is still evolving. I mean, it is getting better and better with
Of course,
the.
there's people that is doing chroma key with Vanta Black, for instance, and having different colors of screen, wide.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things going on that are quite interesting, but still, it's a different technology. But if we have this shot, we don't want to do this in post-production. We want the reflections be there. And that's what it started the whole thing.
So it's a walking mirror.
Yeah, it's a walking mirror. So I don't want to spend zillion times in post-production for every episode to do this.
Yeah.
And it can, but in this case, I have a floor and it's white and I want to have shadows in there. How can I drop shadows in a light thing?
Very difficult.
It's very difficult. So in this case, I will probably choose a chroma key. So
Yeah.
this technology doesn't mean that we have to use one or the other and be stuck to no. And we should use whatever is required for every shot. I mean, we can have a movie in which some shots will be chroma keyed and some other will be LED walls.
Or you could even mix it. You could put a green screen floor with a wall in the back so the actors can see
Absolutely.
the environment, but still we can do a perfect chroma key with the floor.
Exactly. So there's a number of things that can be used at the same time and also combined, or maybe bring people over, keyed out, and send them to the green screen, for instance. So
Absolutely.
to the LED screen, for instance. Huge possibilities. We also have to take care of things like depth of field, because on the LED wall everything's flat. So the camera is pointing to something that's flat. So we have to simulate depth of field before rendering. So that's something that we need to take care about.
Absolutely.
No problem, but we need to take care about that.
Yeah.
Delays. We were talking about delays. See, how many are there? Delay in the tracking, on the set extension, on the rendering, on the LED wall display, on the AR. So everything has a different delay.
And this is the simplest system, right?
Oh, yes, of
Because
course.
then you can put scalers and you can put many other devices in the middle. And this is all frames of delay.
Of course, you can make it worse, but I think it's worse enough.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you have to make sure that you have to live with delays, but you have to match them. So the end result is perfect. And
Yeah, absolutely.
that's what you have to take care about.
That's the most important thing.
Yep. And cost. Yeah. So this is a simple chart, but things
In acquisition, LEDs
Yeah.
gonna lose. I can say it now.
big time. But in installation, you don't know, but maintenance, but in operation, you may see the LED wall gets better and better. So
Yeah.
this is an evolving chart, but it's a reference. So if you don't have money, then maybe you can't afford an LED wall. Maybe you can hire it or something like that.
Yeah.
But if you want to have some results, maybe you cannot afford going green screen because it will get you into post-production. So at the end of the day, there's a number of things that we have to take care of. There's a number of questions we have to ask ourselves. Do we need post-production? Do we need VFX? Do we want in-context AR? Do we want it on top or behind? So how I want my content to be at the end of the day, and that's going to be the big question. Which is the best technique for each one of my shots? Because I don't have to be a believer in one thing or the other to make everything on the same technology. I have to choose whatever is better for my content.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, and even doing green screen or virtual production is already an option.
Yes.
It might be easier just going out and doing it in the real world, right?
Yeah.
So using all these tools is going to be very important. There is many benefits to both of them. For us, obviously, virtual production has been a massive improve in the tools that we can offer to creators, just to have, as you said, the same scene. I heard that there is certain movie of our superhero that I don't know if I can say that had 2 weeks of light in the sunset,
Wow.
right? So 2 weeks of sunset is many in real life will become many hours of work.
Big time.
Well, there they did it
Maybe it's
it-
half a day.
exactly. So
But and the good thing is that having the technology that is open enough, as I mean, I have to say that our experience with you guys has been always awesome. In terms of compatibility, in terms of how
Yeah.
you handle things, in terms of how you open your technology to be handled by ourselves. For instance, I mean, we have a full compatibility with Tessera,
mhm.
which works perfectly.
This is another thing that we have to say. There is an integration now between Brompton and Tessera,
Yeah.
just to make sure that all the users will have.
Well, Brainstorm and Tessera. I hope
So,
Brompton is compatible with Tessera.
Sorry?
You said Brompton and Tessera.
Yeah, sorry. Brainstorm
You better be
and
compatible with
Brompton.
yourself.
Yes, we are. It works between Brainstorm and Tessera, just to make sure that the tools that are important to achieve the best color, because in many cases, if you want to modify, for example, brightness, the best place to do it is at the very end of the chain, and it
Yeah.
is the LED processor or even the panel, right? But to make sure that people have access to this one control platform, that's where we get into the collaboration between companies. The skill gap is very important right now. We really have a skill gap. For us, it's very amazing, all these technologies. We can see that they are very complex setups, but for new people, it can be a little bit overloading.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it's about providing, as I mentioned before, the creators with the right tools to make their dreams come true.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Miguel.
Thank
That
you.
was awesome. It was great to have you. And please, anything else that you want to say?
Well, just that it's been a pleasure being here with you guys, and it's always great collaborating with you. And I just have to say that we are very happy with the results our joint customers are achieving with our technologies. So we just hope that this user base grows and grows.
That's amazing. Thank you very much, Miguel.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.